Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Jason White, and this is my little corner of YouTube where I like to talk about books, mostly horror books, but also fantasy books and some science fiction. And I'm here today to discuss the the science fiction and fantasy that I read in the first quarter of 2021. So let's get right into to these little discussions slash reviews. I read Breach of Peace by our very own, but also very huge, Daniel Green. He's one of the biggest booktubers out there. He could really break some ground with booktube because, there's still a lot of people who don't know what booktube is. When I started, when I started watching Daniel Green, around the same time I started my channel, he was only at like 13,000 subscribers. And he started doing all these Wheel of Time videos, and his personality, along with his energy, along with so many other things, just including his content, he skyrocketed. I remember it seemed like once a month he was reaching 10,000 new subscribers. His success on YouTube has been phenomenal and phenomenally crazy. But, kudos to him. He also wanted to be a writer, and he decided to start writing himself. And the first piece of fiction that he came out with is Breach of Peace. Let's read the synopsis here. When an imperial family is found butchered, officers of God are called to investigate. Evidence points to a rebel group trying to stab fear into the very heart of the Empire. Inspector Khalid begins a harrowing hunt for those responsible. But when a larger conspiracy comes to light, she struggles to trust even the officers around her. Now, I'm not too sure what happened, but the audiobook was released a couple of weeks before the actual release date. I think Daniel Green said there was like a miscommunication. But, kudos to him again for getting the narrators that he did. They're the same narrators who did the Wheel of Time books, and they're very much celebrated. And you know what? I really enjoyed their narration of this book. Michael Kramer is the only one. He's only in it for like maybe 10 minutes, or he only narrates for about 10 minutes. The other narrator, Kate, she narrates the majority of this book, and she does a phenomenal job, like a very phenomenal job. So the good about Breach of Peace is that it's very well. First of all, it's very well written. The prose feels very authentic. It feels like Daniel Green's been writing for a long time. His characters are believable. They're more believable than Robert Jordan's characters, honestly. Not saying something, because I'm not insulting the Wheel of Time, but I don't know. It's just that Daniel Green's characters seem to have better responses to certain situations and whatnot. More human and less. I don't want to say gimmicky or cartoonish, but sometimes the Wheel of Time characters can act a little in their role, if that makes sense. And Daniel Green's characters don't do that. They're very. This story itself is it's kind of grimdark, and but it's also flintlock fantasy because there's guns. The guns are a fairly new thing, and these investigators, they carry like little handguns, and there's a couple of shootouts in this story. The one thing that really shocked me about Breach of Peace is the horror. There is definitely some horror elements. When other people, mostly fantasy book reviewers, said that there is horror in these books, I was like, yeah, I'm sure. And even at the beginning of this story, I was like, they just think it's horror. It's not horror. It's just because it's gory, it's not horror, because the opening scene is pretty gory. But no, there's actually a couple of really creepy scenes involving certain creatures in this world. And it's very well done. So I highly recommend this, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. Now, as for the negative, I think Daniel Green may have been a little too impatient to get this one out, see what people think. I don't know, because it just doesn't feel like a complete first book to me, even though it's a novella. It is kind of wrapped up, and it is very much the introduction to, I guess, what's going to be the rest of the story. But I can't say right now that it feels like a complete thing on its own. But you know, he is new at doing this, and it's going to be interesting to see where he goes in the future, because I think he's got skill. Dude's got skill, man. So, you know, I wasn't expecting, honestly, to like it. Next, I read Solaris by Stanislaw Lem. Now, this one was weird. I was expecting to like it a lot more. Let me get into the synopsis. When Chris Kelvin arrives at the planet Solaris to study the ocean that covers its surface, he finds a painful, hitherto unconscious memory embodied in the living physical likeness of a long-dead lover. Others examining the planet, Kelvin learns, are plagued with their own repressed and newly corporeal memories. The Solaris ocean may be a massive brain that creates these incarnate memories, though its purpose in doing so is unknown, forcing the scientists to shift the focus of their quest and wonder if they can truly understand the universe without first understanding what lies within their hearts. So, this book starts off pretty strong. And I think where it lost me was its attempt to explain everything as, you know, science would do. To be honest, when it comes to the end, I can't remember, because it gets so bogged down with scientific jargon that it's just hard to pay attention to what you're reading. And the wonder and the awe of this book is lost a little bit within all the scientific jargon. But you have to give the author and the translator a lot of respect for coming up with a fictional planet and being able to talk about it as though it were real, and going into all the scientific things that would make it real. I really enjoyed this book, but I also didn't enjoy it. I didn't understand a lot of it, and that's okay. Usually I'm okay with that, but this wasn't an okay I don't understand. I felt kind of left behind a bit in some of the more jargon areas of the story. I also wanted it to just be more weird and not everything explained scientifically. I wanted there to be more mystery, some more horror, honestly, because this story felt like it was going to be a horror story, and then it wasn't. It didn't need to be a horror story, obviously, because it's a science fiction story. But I don't know. I just wanted more out of it. So last up here, I have The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. Now, the synopsis for this is: Roshar is a world of stone and storms. Uncanny tempests of incredible power sweep across the rocky terrain so frequently that they have shaped ecology and civilization alike. Animals hide in shells, trees pull in branches, and grass retracts into the soilless ground. Cities are built only where the topography offers shelter. It has been centuries since the fall of the 10 consecrated orders known as the Knights Radiant, but their shard blades and shard plate remain, mystical swords and suits of armor that transform ordinary men into near-invincible warriors. Many trade kingdoms for shard blades. Wars were fought for them and won by them. One such war rages on a ruined landscape called the Shattered Plains. There, Kaladin, who traded his medical apprenticeship for a spear to protect his little brother, has been reduced to slavery in a war that makes no sense, where 10 armies fight separately against a single foe. He struggles to save his men and to fathom the leaders who consider them expendable. Bright Lord Dalinar Kholin commands one of those other armies. Like his brother, the late king, he is fascinated by the ancient text called the Way of Kings. Troubled by overpowering visions of ancient times and the nights radiant, he has begun to doubt his own sanity. Across the ocean, an untried young woman named Shallan seeks to train under the eminent scholar and notorious heretic Dalinar's niece, Jasna. Though she generally loves learning, Shallan's motives are less than genuine, or less than pure. As she plans a daring theft, her research for Jasna hints at secrets of the Knights Radiant and the true cause of war. The result, over 10 years of planning, writing, and world-building, The Way of Kings is but opening movement for the Stormlight Archive, a bold masterpiece in the making. So, I started this book along with the Malazan Book of the Fallen, and oh my god, you can expect separate reviews for those books, the Malazan books, but this book is huge. The positives. This world is so very much a created thing. Brandon Sanderson has lived in this world, and he has come back to describe exactly every little detail that is in it. And that might drive some of you guys crazy, but this is one main reason why people love fantasy that go into this much detail. It's because it makes the world absolutely real. And you can leave this world and go into that world. And it's a phenomenal thing. The characters are all very real. I really like how Brandon Sanderson delves into depression with one of the characters in this book, because one of the characters is very depressed, and for good reason. I really liked the woman's storyline better than Kaladin's, and that's very much an unpopular opinion. I don't know why that is, because I don't know why, but I just really enjoy following Shallan and around the castle, and her trying to become an apprentice to a woman who has a lot of power and perhaps not a lot of brains. It was all very interesting. The bad, honestly, is very similar to the things I enjoyed. I just felt that the storylines for the characters like Kaladin and even Shallan went on way too long. I felt this book, I say this with a lot of heaviness, because I felt like it could have been edited down just a bit by a few hundred pages, because there's just a little bit too much going on, or too much. We're exposed to what Kaladin is doing for way too long. The payoff at the end is kind of worth it, but maybe it's not. I just felt like it dragged way too long, especially the Kaladin scenes. I don't know why, but I didn't enjoy Kaladin as much as other people did. I'm not saying he's a bad character. He's not. He's actually a very well-developed, fantastic character, but I just felt like Brandon Sanderson, he tread within Kaladin's feet for a little too long than what was maybe necessary. And I know that there's going to be people who attack me for that. Please don't. It's just my opinion. I'm not attacking your favorite character. I'm just saying what I feel about this story. Alright, so that is my 4 books for you to definitely go check out. I enjoyed pretty much everything. I enjoy a lot of things I read. If I finish it, then I enjoyed it. If I don't finish it, then I didn't enjoy it. So basically, I did enjoy all these books enough to finish them. So thank you for watching. Keep being creative and keep being safe out there. This world is a scary place. Go read a book. Escape. I'll catch you guys in the next bookish video.